Hi, I'm Heidi Villegas with Healing Harvest Homestead, and today I'm going to take you foraging for some mullein, and that's Verbascum thapsus is the Latin name, and we're going to talk a little bit about how to identify it, where to find it, and also about the benefits and uses. So come along with me while we go and forage some mullein. It's going to be fun. I am out foraging today in the wilderness areas with Mr. V. We're in the side-by-side, and we're looking for a variety of different plants. It is high summer right now, and things are getting drier and drier. And so I thought, well, let's get out here and gather what we can while we can. That seems to be the mantra these days. And so specifically, we're looking for really a nice mullein or two, and some goldenrod. And we've already got enough St. John's wort, yarrow, things like that. So we're focusing on some other plants right now, and I will share more with you as this fun foraging adventure goes on. Here are the boys. They came with us on our foraging trip today. Jimmy, Jim, Jax, you guys are so good. We took a little water break for the boys, and we are going to head down the road some more here. Here's a mullein patch in a field. This was actually, this used to be all pines in here, and this is owned by a logging company. And a few years ago, sorry, I'm laughing because look, we have cows following us. There's the boys. I hope Jimmy doesn't jump out. He's looking like he wants to.
He's afraid of the horses. He'll be afraid of them cows.
He's wondering what they are. There we go. That's the thing. This is Idaho is a free range state. So basically, the cattle have the right of way. Anyhow, oh, there's a whole bunch of them over there. It's a whole herd. Anyhow, this land used to be pine trees, and the logging company comes in and they strip it, which really makes me very, very sad. But they're pretty good about planting pine trees in place of the ones that they killed. So if you look here, you can see, let me see if I can zoom in here, small pine trees throughout this field. But what happens in these disturbed fields is something really good. You end up with wildflowers that are medicinal, and what they do is they break up the compacted soil with their roots, and they contribute. So anytime you have plants growing in disturbed soil, that's a good thing, and it's just a change of the ecosystem. So some of the plants that are in this disturbed soil here there's yellow dock, there's goldenrod, there is hound's tongue, that's what this is. It's a relative of comfrey. There's thistle, there's St. John's wort, there's yarrow, there's a lot of really good things out here. Let's see. You can see the cattle coming in. Hi guys. Like, what are you doing? And again, I'm still in my flip-flops, so I'm going to make this a little speedy. So mullein is really a beautiful plant. And this year, because of the cold, long spring, they're really not doing super well, and they've got some kind of a infestation of bugs, which I will talk about that because it's still okay to harvest mullein if there are insects on it. I'll tell you how to harvest it and dry it so that you don't have to worry about them. But this is very unusual for our mullein here. All these little bugs, there's a lot of them. Usually you'll see, a few, but here we're seeing a lot. And actually that one looks a little like a tick. So anyhow, this one here is in its second year. Mullein is a biennial, and it grows over the course of 2 years, and then it dies back. It starts off as a little rosette. The first year, let me see if I can find one. And this year, again, because of the cold, wet spring we had, they're very small. So this is a first year mullein, and I'm telling you, by this time of the summer, these first year mullein are usually 4 or 5 times the size, with really nice big leaves. This is a stalk that's left over from last year, and this is what happens after the second year. They just die back, So here we are back to this mullein. You can see the little flowers here. They're like literally little popcorn flowers. They're not very big. And the flowers are really wonderful for making infused oils for ears. And I'm gonna go ahead and do some harvesting, and then I will talk more about the benefits and uses when we get back to the house. But one of the things I want to just say is that you can see how the rosette grows into the second year. It's a stalk, and it's quite a tall stalk. And I just want to mention again, these are small. Usually the second year mulleins in this area can get up to, 5 feet, 6 feet tall. This one here is about, well, I guess it's about 5'8", because I'm 5'4", and this one is taller than me. But generally they get much taller than this with many more flowers. So just a little thought. And here's some smaller ones. These are, you can see this one's maybe 3.5 feet tall, and that's about as tall as it's going to get once the flowers start coming out. And you can see this one is just now starting to get to the point where flowers are going to come out. Okay, so here we are. I've got a mullein leaf here. You can see it's very large. They can actually get much bigger than this, and they're fuzzy. I don't know if you can see that, but it's a fuzzy leaf. This one's not in the best of shape. Usually you want to try finding leaves that are not filled with holes and things. This year they're really struggling, I've noticed, which is a little worrisome. But I want to just quickly talk with you about the benefits and why you should be looking for mullein in your neck of the woods. And the nice thing about it is that it generally grows everywhere in North America, from the very lowest southern states all the way up to into Canada and even Alaska. It's a very versatile plant. Verbascum thapsus, or mullein, is like the queen, or even the king perhaps, of the respiratory herbs. It's got some special compounds in it that just make it an excellent supportive for your lungs. So if you're dealing with bronchitis, if you're dealing with the C word, if you're dealing with any kind of nasal or sinus issue or issue in your eustachian tubes or your ears, mullein should be one of the very first herbs that you think of, the very first medicinal herbs. In fact, I first learned about mullein from my stepmother. She, many years ago, she grew up with a background with using herbs here and there, and she got very sick, and none of the medications that the doctors gave her were helping. So she made my dad go out in the middle of the night to look for mullein, and she made a strong tea when they got home, and lo and behold, it helped. And after many days of just suffering, that was the only thing that helped her. Mullein is amazing. In fact, I have a recipe for lung support tea. I think I have a video for it here on YouTube. If not, it's on my website. I'll go ahead and link to that. But it's a really wonderful tea blend to have in your home apothecary, just to have on hand ready to go. It is safe for kids. In fact, I formulated that recipe many years ago for a 3-year-old with asthma. So that just tells you it's very safe and it's extremely supportive. Anyhow, let's go ahead and talk about how and why mullein is so wonderful for your lungs and your respiratory system. So mullein has quite a few properties, but 3 of them in particular contribute together to make this plant just exceptional for your lung health and your respiratory support. The first thing that mullein does for you is that it has demulcent qualities. A demulcent herb is one that is soothing and supportive of the mucous membranes. It's very moisturizing. So mullein has a demulcent action to an extent. The next action that mullein has that makes it really helpful for your lungs is that it's an expectorant. An expectorating herb helps you to expel mucus when you get that thick stuck mucus, or when you're hacking up a lung, as they say. You've got that dry cough going on, or it's a spasmodic bronchial cough. Mullein is so helpful for that. Mullein is so helpful for that because it is an expectorant. Finally, the last action that, and there's many other actions that Mullein has, by the way, so we'll talk more about those, but for your respiratory system specifically, is that Mullein is mildly astringent as well. What that means is that it tightens and tones lax tissues. And so let's just say you've got inflammation in your lungs. Mullein gets in there. Let's take all those three actions together. Okay. The demulcent action soothes and moisturizes any inflammation in your lungs and your respiratory system, including your sinuses. The expectorating action helps your body to expel excess mucus, which you need to do if you want to heal up. And then the astringent property of it helps to tighten and tone inflamed tissues. So you've got these three things going on with Mullein that make it just exceptional for respiratory health. And I just really, really love Mullein for this. You would want to use Mullein if you have a bad cold with congestion, if you've got a cough or some kind of respiratory issue, bronchitis. It's helpful for asthma. I love using it during seasonal allergy times. In fact, I've got a Mullein marshmallow tincture recipe. You can also use it as a tea. Mullein is just amazing, and it's one, if you have it growing near you, please go harvest some and dry it and have it ready to go. I cannot just tell you how wonderful it's been in my own life for many, many years. It's just great. Mullein is also an antiviral, so along with the just the respiratory support that you get, the antiviral support is just incredible, especially if you're dealing with a cold and flu virus, which also causes coughs and respiratory issues. So isn't it neat how they all work, how all of those things work together? Now let's go ahead and talk about another part of the Mullein plant, that is the flower. So the flower emerges from a stalk in the summertime. So you can harvest Mullein in the first year before the stalk emerges if you're positive about the identification, or you can harvest it in the second year, but the flowers must be harvested in the second year. The flowers have a special affinity for the ears, and the eustachian tubes. So a lot of people like to make a garlic mullein flower oil. It's basically an infusion in olive oil or maybe a lightweight oil of the garlic flowers and garlic. And some herbalists say to put it directly in the ear. I personally don't like to put oil directly in ears unless it's a last ditch attempt. I like to rub the oil around the panicle of the ear. And you can even add certain essential oils, diluted properly of course, to that oil to rub around the panicle of the ear too. In fact, one clinical study showed that using garlic and mullein flower infused oil was actually more effective than penicillin. Okay, this was on children who had ear infections. So really interesting. Mullein is an amazing herb. The science backs it up too. Another really nice way to use mullein is if you have digestive issues. Because of its demulcent and astringing properties together, mullein is really helpful if you have excess mucus in your intestinal tract, especially the small intestine. Getting rid of that mucus, tightening and toning the intestinal tissues, that can actually help improve the nutritional uptake of your food into your body. So mullein is actually a nice supporting herb if you've got IBS or other kinds of issues like that. It can just help support your body in that feeling better and balancing itself. So you might be wondering, well, how do you use mullein? How do you prepare it? So you can prepare mullein as a tincture. It's great as a tea. It's wonderful in infused oils for skin health. A lot of people actually like to smoke it. In fact, there have been some mostly anecdotal studies about smoking mullein and how it can help with asthma. Now, asthma is a special thing, so this is one you'd want to talk with your medical doctor about. But mullein has helped certain people that I know of with respiratory issues. I'm personally not a fan of smoking of any kind, so that's just me. But I do know that other herbalists have used mullein for that, and they've found some relief. Another way you can use mullein is in your herbal steams. So I have a free resource on herbal steams. It's the guide to herbal steams. But herbal steams are one of my favorite remedies to use if you've got congestion or you're dealing with mucus in your lungs. Herbal steams get in there and they help break things up. The humidity moistens and softens the tissues. They're wonderful. Mullein is really helpful in those, along with other aromatic herbs like rosemary or thyme or peppermint. Really wonderful. If you want to, and this is not necessary, you can add a drop of an essential oil blend or a specific essential oil, depending on the age of the person and the need of the person too. And that can really enhance the steam. So steams are really excellent. So here are some contraindications for mullein. Times you should you either proceed with caution or not use it at all. So if you are pregnant or nursing, you should definitely talk with your doctor about using mullein. Another thing that bothers some people is that mullein has little tiny hairs on the leaves, and those little hairs can be irritating for some people. So in fact, for people with very sensitive skin, it may even cause a little bit of contact dermatitis. It's generally not a big deal. Most people tolerate it very well. You know, drink the tea, take the tincture, and even like I just did, harvest the mullein and never have a problem. You might get a little itchy, just take a shower. But just be aware that the itchiness might be there for you. If you are a diabetic and you're on medications, or if you are taking a diuretic for any reason, a prescription, you probably should talk with your doctor about using mullein, just because there might be some herb-drug interactions. And, you know, generally speaking, most of the time these aren't a big deal, but once in a while they are. Mullein is categorized as grass, which means it is generally regarded as safe, meaning that's a category that very few people have trouble with. So mullein is just wonderful. I hope you'll check it out, do a little more research, and go out and find some this year. All right, I'll talk with you later. I'm Heidi Villegas with Healing Harvest Homestead. Hey, by the way, I have a whole entire masterclass on mullein in my Confident Herbalist tribe. In fact, there are over 50 master classes in there, and I'm in there with my students every single week, and we do live Q&A chats. Everybody's learning herbalism together, so it's a whole lot of fun. You should totally join us in the tribe. If you have been on the fence about learning herbalism, I have different payment options so that it's affordable for everybody, and it is just an excellent resource for you if you're interested in becoming medically prepared or furthering your herbal education. The tribe is amazing. So join us over there. I would love to have you in the tribe. All right, I will talk with you soon. And I am Heidi with Healing Harvest Homestead. Thanks for being here. I've also got some free gifts for you in the description below. So be sure you check on those. All right, bye-bye. See you in the next video.